This clinic was started years ago by Jim McNally, okay? And we were over at Spinney Field about how many years ago, Jimmy? 12, somewhere around there. And there was about 8 or 10 guys at Spinney Field, okay, discussing football techniques, friends of Jimmy. And then the next year it was 37, and the next year 76, and then they moved it down here, and it just outgrown itself. It's got out of hand. Okay, we'll have over 300 guys. We have 200 and some odd guys pre-registered, and it'll be about 300 guys here today. Offensive line coaches and people who want to understand something about the offensive line. It's all started with this guy right over here, Jim McNally. Okay, and he's going to be speaking tonight. He's the featured. You know, he's going to be on after dinner tonight. So you guys stay and listen to Jim McNally. Don't stray. This is an intense clinic, guys. Okay, we go all day long until about 9:30 or 10 o'clock tonight. I give you a short time for lunch. Get your butts out, eat lunch, get back in here and get your seats. Okay? When there's a speaker up here, okay, don't be talking. If you want to talk, go outside. We do a lot of these things during the course of the season, and it gets kind of bothersome when you're trying to talk to somebody, and the guy next to you, maybe a guy in front of you is trying to listen, and you're back with him talking about how you're going to pick up a TV or something. Okay, so if you want to talk and do that kind of shit, go outside. I don't mind going, okay? Because I'm going to introduce a few guys here and say a few things. We have a guy here today, Punch Dilkin. You guys can expect Punch to be here. Punch was down working with Jimmy down in Carolina, and Jimmy called me and said, hey, I think we should get Punch up here to discuss just the punch. How do you punch somebody? Because Punch played this league, you know what I mean, and Jimmy would go lose his way around for a long time. He only weighed 260 pounds as a tackle and played for 14 years. This league doesn't happen anymore. So he's going to do some of my time here this morning, so you're going to hear Punch. Okay, we have Howard Mudd. Howard is the grandfather of offensive line coaches in the National Football League. Howard's been in this league for 24 years as a coach, and I don't know, about the same 24 as a player, I think. So he's been around a long time. You have Mike Major from the Jacksonville Jaguars who's here. Larry Bechtel, the assistant head coach and offensive line coach from the Miami Dolphins. He'll be here today. Who am I forgetting here? Keith Rowland. Keith Rowland's the assistant head coach and the offensive line coach for the Oakland Raiders. He left Minnesota with the Oakland with Joe Bugle. Okay, so everybody that's on the schedule is here. They're in the building someplace. Okay, Howard's sitting right there. Howard, stand up. You see Howard? Howard Mudd right there? Cool. See this? Cool. Now you see those shirts and stuff we have? Let me tell you about the Mushroom Society so you guys don't understand this shit. Okay? Howard started this with Billy Muir, okay, and Jim Hannaford. Hannaford's the Monsignor. Usually, you know what I mean, like the fucking Pope. Okay? And so, you know, cool. Why the cool? Why the mushroom? Okay? Because offensive line coaches, we're always left in the dark and they always feed you shit. Right? Well, that's how mushrooms grow. So we come up with this thing called the Mushroom Society for offensive line coaches, and we started this as a little kind of fraternity, and it's kind of gotten out of hand. So when you see these shirts, you know, they're for sale out there. You can buy we have templates, we have pens, we have bag tags, we have note cards, we have, I mean, it just got out of hand. We have rulers. I mean, it just got out of hand. Okay, but COOL stands for Coaches of Offensive Linemen. So when you see these shirts, you know what they're about. You see how it's going on. You have the guys that come up here usually will have them on. So you understand what that's about. Now I'm going to let, we have a guest here today, Rick Mentor. Rick Mentor was kind enough to hire me at UC when nobody else would even call me back. Not going to return my phone call. And so if Rick can come up here and just say a few words, and then we'll get right in with the speaking program. Another rule. You hear that? When I blow the whistle, we move. So when we have a break, okay, I blow the whistle, you hear the whistle blow, that means we're going to start the next speaker. Okay, so we're going to get underway right here, right now. As soon as I get this thing past my belly. There we go. Now, topic. Now, where's my thing? Okay. Take his address down. If you need to talk to me, or for anything that happened here today, or if you need some t-shirts if we run out, okay, any templates that we have for sale, we run out of that shit, buy all that stuff, because I don't want to take it home, get it out of here, please, okay? That's where you can find me. Okay, there's a telephone number, there's my extension, you can get to my voicemail, so on and so forth. What I'm going to do, my topic this morning, I'm going to talk about, and I was at UC last year, and I was very fortunate to have some pretty good players down there. I think we took them from, it was 88 in the country in Russia the year before, and I think we finished in 25th or 26th or 20, somewhere in that area. I'm not exactly sure, okay? We let up 8 sacks, okay? That was pretty good. I think that the kids did an excellent job. It wasn't because of me, it was because I had some pretty good football players. But it was the same techniques that I taught when I was at Camper and the Jets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of the things that I think you should know, okay, about picking up. My topic is picking up the stunts in the running game and some of the twists in the running game and some pass twists if I get enough time. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk, okay, for about an hour, from here on out, for about 1 hour. And then I'm going to turn it over to Tunch. Jimmy's going to introduce Tunch, and Tunch is going to finish my time slot here. Then we'll take a break, okay, and then the next guy will come on after me, whoever that is. I don't even have a schedule in front of me. So whoever that guy is, we'll begin, okay? Everybody got this down? No problem. Now, picking up the stunts and the twist. Okay, how many guys here run some kind of zone play? Inside or outside zone play? Okay? And this thing happens right here. Where you have, everybody see this? If I get in the way, just tell me get out of the freaking way. Okay? Because sometimes I have a tendency to left-handed. You have a defense that looks up like this, where you have a bubble over the guard. And you're running an inside zone play. And then what they do is you take this guy, drop crossover plant, and he presses the inside leg of the offensive tackle right there in the V gap. And they take this defensive end and they slam him inside like this. How do you handle that situation right there? Okay, what do? If you just let the end go, in other words, if you avoid the end completely, what will happen is he will ricochet off the outside shoulder pad of the guard and bounce himself into the play. He will ricochet off the outside pad of the guard and bounce himself into the play. That's a slant. He may slant from a 5 technique. He may slant from a head-up technique. He may slant, he may be in a 4-eye and just come into the gap. Okay? But he's going to go inside someplace. Usually, if they slant from a 5, they kind of get back a little bit, to create the angle to come back inside. How do you handle that situation? Well, remember, the back is reading this guy. Our back reads that guy. If he goes in, he's going to go out. Okay? So if he goes in and you don't bring him back to the guard, he'll ricochet off, and as the back starts to go out, he'll make the tackle right there. Okay? We use a tough technique. We call it a tough technique. What I'll do is I'll talk about 10 minutes about this, about what the tackle's technique is and what the guard's technique is, and then I'll show you some film, and then we'll go on to the next problem. Okay? With some kind of stunts. Okay? We use a tough technique. What we tell a tackle on the inside running play, not the outside play, on the inside running play, that when that guy goes inside, we want you to bring him back to the guard. We don't want to let him go inside all by himself untouched and ricochet off the guard's shoulder. So what the tackle does is what we call a tough technique. He will take a slight drop step with his outside leg. Okay? He'll take a slight drop step with his outside leg. So if this was a 5 technique guy on me, this chair right here, if you guys can see it, okay, this tackle will take a slight drop step, whatever you call that, with his foot flat on the ground. So when he takes that first step, his foot goes flat on the ground, and the weight goes through the inside of that leg into the inside arch. Okay? We don't want to put his toe in the ground. Okay? We want him to put his whole foot flat on the ground. Just like this. And the reason we want the weight coming through the inside arch, because if they put his toe on the ground and he leans the weight over the outside of the leg, on the outside part of the foot, what will happen is the second step will come too far, and he'll cross over, and he'll be on a tightrope. So when we take the first step with the tackle, it's flat on the ground. That's the first thing we do. We measure where the defender is. That first step gets flat on the ground, and we lose a little bit of ground. Not a whole lot, just enough so I can open my hips. I buy myself some time to see what the defender is doing. Why? Before I strike the guy. Because if I just sold out and struck the guy right now, my intentions, I've already declared my intentions on what I'm going to do to him, and he has an idea of what's going to happen in the play. So I'm buying myself a little time, okay, before I strike him so I can see what he's going to do. Number one. Number two, I'm buying myself some time because the running back hasn't physically been handed the ball yet. The quarterback hasn't come back and given the back the ball yet, so he hasn't started to run with it. So if I just fire right off and hit the son of a gun, okay, I declared my intentions, he has to hold the block forever. Let me give the guy a little bit of a break. In the back will help him block this guy by maintaining a cross in the B gap. So that's the first step. A lot of time on the first step. Why? I truly believe as an offensive line coach, not coaching the tight ends, but Paul Alexander's the line coach over at the Bengals. I think he's here. He should be here this morning somewhere. Okay? That your angle of departure from the line of scrimmage is critical. If I could break it down finer than the first step, I would. So when you depart the line of scrimmage, if you departed the line of scrimmage at the wrong angle, okay, you're going to be behind the block on the get-go. Right off the bat, you're behind the guy. Now, the real good athletes and the good players will make that up and find a way to block the guy and keep him out of the play. Now, the mediocre guys, the guys that are on the average level, are going to have a problem. Get a guy to always play on the edge of your path. Okay? So we try to depart the line of scrimmage on the correct angle, the departure angles from the line of scrimmage. So here's the first step. Bang. The second step now, I bought myself some time. The second step, what is the defender doing? He's going inside. So my second step, if I can get him to come back with the defender a little bit, bring him back to the guard, okay? Boom, back to the guard. Sometimes I don't even get him to go back. Sometimes I step and he's going inside and I step straight up the field, okay, and I stop him. But I don't let him come clean inside. I don't let him come clean down to the guard and ricochet off the guard's shoulder. So the footwork, I would like to have him take a step and bring him back to the guard and push him with his hands like this, and his eyes will go to the linebacker, what I just said. But he's not going to look at this guy. He knows he's going inside. There's no sense of looking at that guy. Get your eyes on the linebacker because the linebacker is going to tell you where you're going to go next. Now you understand what I'm saying? Guy goes inside. I bring him back here. I bring him back with my hands. I'll tough technique him with either overstep or into him a little bit. Okay? Bring him back to the guy. I feel the guy, but my eyes are on the linebacker. I got two hands on the down guy, and my eyes are on the linebacker, because if the linebacker were to hang inside, if the linebacker just hangs inside here like this, okay, then I'm going to have to stay on that guy with the guard till I get a feeling of what's going on. Okay? Till I get a feeling of what the intentions of that linebacker is. So I tough technique him back to the guard. Now, when I bring him back, don't turn your shoulders. Write that down, big fucking letters. Don't turn your shoulders. I try not to swear, but because this is on tape here. Okay? What I'm saying is, when you first start teaching this stuff, what's going to happen is the tackle takes a step, the guy goes inside, and here goes the offensive tackle, goes boom, and he turns his shoulders in like this to try to bring him back to the guard. Well, here's the linebacker. If he turns his shoulders inside, on this kind of an angle, and the linebacker scrapes over the top, then he's got to turn his shoulders all the way back again. So if he turns his shoulders here, and this linebacker scraped this way, he has to turn his shoulders all the way back around to try to block that guy. Usually, he doesn't get him. Okay, if he gets him real, real late. So when you bring the guy back to the guard, the tackle, when you bring the defensive end back to the offensive guard, I want you to bring him up here, bring him him back, push him back with your hands, and get your eyes on the linebacker. Now, when you come off to get the linebacker, you come off with your shoulders square or maybe even a little tilted to the line of scrimmage. You see what I'm saying? So I bring him back here, bang. As I come back out, my shoulders come back on this level. Not like this, because the linebacker's going to be moving. Remember where the back's going. My shoulders come back here. So as the linebacker keeps coming, my shoulders will be on a good plane to block the linebacker. Here, he brings him back, and then the shoulders come back off, and it should look something like that. And I can meet the linebacker right there. That's just a tackle. We just started to talk about the tackle. We haven't talked about the guy, it's just a tackle. He wants to push this guy. As he brings him back, and he wants to give him a little shove here, right back into the guard. Secure it with the guard. Push him. If you can push him across the guard's face, that's even better. So if he goes inside, push him across the guard's face, that's even better. Then you get up and you block the linebacker. Put your helmet on the front side, number, cover him up, and run him wherever he's going. What the backs do what they get paid to do. Okay. Now, the guard. If you got the bubble on you, get a linebacker over you. You've heard this many times. The deeper the linebacker, the deeper the drop step. So if that guy's the linebacker, what I want to do is I want to buy myself some time before I get to the junction point, which is about 2.5 yards inside the inside leg of this defensive end. So I got to buy myself some time because that linebacker's going to try to get to here, and I want to get to that junction point at the same time. I don't want to get there too soon because I turn my shoulders and the guy runs underneath me. If I get there too late, the guy's already run over the top and I'm going to make an abrupt shoulder turn and I'll try to block the guy out. I want to get there at the same time that the linebacker gets there. How do I buy time? I take a drop step. Okay? So the deeper the linebacker, the deeper I take this step. I look at his front side number and I put out one hand. Why do I put out one hand? I put out one hand because I don't want my center of gravity to go someplace I don't want it to go. You understand what I'm saying? So if the guards pull and they went like this, his weight's over here. His second step will go too far, he'll cross over. So the one hand read is when I take this drop step again, my weight's on the inside of that drop step. My weight's inside, one hand. I'm going to feel the defensive end and look at the linebacker. I'm going to feel the defensive end and look at the linebacker. One hand read. The linebacker runs over the top now. Remember we said it's a tough, we're talking about a tough technique here. He comes down and the linebacker's running over the top. As soon as the ball is snapped, when he sees the linebacker run over the top on the right guard, there's the linebacker. That's how I stop. Bang. That's the first thing I do. I see a linebacker start running over the top. As soon as I see him go right now, I look right at the defensive end. I look right at the defensive end and I put two hands on the defensive end. And two eyes on the linebacker. Okay? So I look right at the defensive end. Boom! Right? My hands are here. Here comes the tackles bringing them back to me. I got four hands on this guy and now four eyes on the linebacker to see what the linebacker's doing. If the linebacker's still going, if he's still going hard, right, then I'm going to push through the defensive end and get my helmet across him. Okay? I'm going to push through the front side number of the defensive end and get my helmet across him. If I get my helmet across him, I'd like to do that. Now some guys are powerful enough to knock them, they knock them back that way. You know, those are the real ringers. I don't know if I got any of those guys. Okay, if I had any of those guys, I should say. Okay? So we're talking about a tough technique. The end slants inside, the guard's footwork, his eyes, the guard's eyes are on the linebacker to begin with. If the linebacker goes right now, it goes from a one-hand read to a two-hand read. Okay? A one-hand read to a two-hand read. The tackle is going to bring the defensive end back to the guard. He's going to escort him back to the guard. There's going to be a mesh point there. Their eyes are going to be on the linebacker to see what the linebacker's doing, and then most of the time, probably because the guy slanted beside the tackle is going to get off, and he is going to block the linebacker. Okay, now that's a long dissertation on that one little thing. I probably forgot some things today. Okay? The key points is the first step. When you put the first step on the ground, you take that little drop step. What you guys, one of the most misunderstood thing about this is that you say, well, you're going a little bit away from the line of scrimmage. No, what we're doing is we're dropping our center of gravity. We're dropping our center of gravity, and the key point to it is that your shoulders have to be going forward. Because if you take this little step and your shoulders are coming up, the guy's going to hit you in the chest and probably end up in the backfield someplace. Okay? So the key, if I give you one key point, is if you're going to use this technique, when I take this little step right here, I want my shoulders going forward. Any questions on that? Now, what I'm going to do, where's John? I was skipping. Turn the lights down. I'm going to show you some tough technique cut-ups. What do you think it should look like here? I have no idea how to pull this on.
I got it. Just slide right out.
Just move out of the way. That's even better. Tough technique. Okay. Now, you can use this not only with the tackle and the guard, you can use it with the guard in the center. If the bubble's on the tackle, here's my pointing here. There's a bubble on the left tackle there. You can use this technique with the guard in the center. Okay? You can use it with the tight end and the tackle. If this guy were to slant inside, this tight end would take him back. Okay? But this is what we call a tough technique. Okay, let's just take a look at it. Watch the left guard. Watch the left guard here. First step, he brings him back. He called the center over. We have a call, we're bringing the center over here. Jesus Christ.
He's next door at that convention.
What's that? Oh, he's next door. Who said that? We have to go down the stadium. He's in the other room, right? What we're doing is he's bringing him out. What's the left guard? See, he's bringing him back to the center. He made a call to bring the center over. So he takes his little first step, his little drop step, shoulders come forward a little bit, and then the second step, he either comes up the field straight, or if he wants to bring him back a little bit, and he escorts him back to the center. The center takes him over, four hands on the down guy, four eyes on the linebacker, and he gets off and he blocks the linebacker.
Take that overhead down.
What's that?
Put the overhead down.
Put the overhead down.
I'll get it. Relax.
Okay, next one. Tough technique. Watch the right tackle. Now the bubble's over the right guard. Guy slants inside. Tackle steps. Shoulders are coming forward. Guy goes inside. Now the overstep with the second step is a little too far, but you see what he's trying to do. He's trying to bring him back to the guard. The guard should take a better drop step. Then he gets off and he blocks the linebacker. Doesn't look like much of a play, but the game over 4 yards, I believe, is what the stripe is on the helmet. Okay? Now watch this one here. Watch the center and the left guard. Can you turn this fucking thing down? Alright? Right here. This guy moves over. The left guard makes a call. The center acknowledges the call. Right there, he acknowledges the call. He said that this guy's going to come inside. Alert, I may have the tough technique him in. Here comes the center. The guy brings him back. The guy gets up against the linebacker. Now, we used to do something different than most teams do. We actually used to run at the force sometimes. You know what I mean? Feel that if we broke this thing back, there'd be nobody here. You know what I mean? We broke it with the idea. You know what I mean? Running at the force, and if your ball breaks back on the inside zone play, there's nobody here. Now, this guy's pretty good. If we would block this on the pitch, there's nobody here. You see what I'm saying? That was one of the things we did. Right or wrong, that's what happened. But this is a tough technique. Okay, what's the center and the left guard? See, the center doesn't vacate right now. He's trying to bring him back. He's trying to bring him back to the guard. He just doesn't vacate the area and let that guy ricochet off the guard's shoulder and come back into the play. So he tries to bring him back, and he goes up and blocks the linebacker. Picking up a twist. What's the tackle? Right tackle. He starts to tough technique the guy back, and the guy starts to twist. So he hits this guy right here. Then he sees the linebacker, the white linebacker over here, so he tries to come up and get the white linebacker. So they're aware of the whole blocking scheme when they're going through these things. This guy starts to twist. The guy sees him go. He's a loop guy, so the guy holds up, comes back, and hits that guy. And he picks him, comes back, and he gets him on the way back. Because he came out, because it was a run, he came out of the pass now. This may be one of the best ones I've ever seen. Here comes the center. He starts to loop. He goes up and blocks the linebacker. Okay, the guy sees the guy come out on the ET stunt. The guy blocks the tackle. Tackle ends up on the linebacker, and the motion guy ends up on the defensive tackle right here, and the ball splits it. Tough technique. Watch this guy. This guy actually has a linebacker. This is the inside zone play. Because the outside zone play, we let him go. Because the outside zone play, this guy came in center with you. This is the way we block the outside zone play. This is the inside zone play. So watch the tackle. He starts. So he's actually tough technique in the linebacker. He starts, okay, and the linebacker goes, and he comes back, and he gets the three technique. And then this guy comes off and gets a piece of the linebacker. And there's a hole. Don't just let the guy slam inside, because he'll ricochet off people. Here's a tight end. This guy's going inside. The tight end's going to bring him. So the techniques apply to all the positions. If you're using the technique, it applies to all the positions. He brings him back. Okay, and then he gets off and blocks the outside guy. He stretches the three. The tackle's got his helmet on the one side. He should get his helmet on the other side. But you get the idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, let's go to the next one. Lunge with. Any questions on the tough technique? Tough technique, picking up a stunt with a defensive end, a three technique. Okay, the tight end, picking up a slant guy coming across his face. That is a tough technique. We all set with that one? Okay, now the next problem we run into. How we doing? All right? Okay. The next problem we run into is you have a guy that, see this one here? You have a guy that's shaded on the center, like this, and you still want to run that play, like this right here. Just like that. Now, they're going to work to this guy right here, okay? And the center is going to block that shaded nose tackle. That's nice if you can do that. I mean, that's great. They have 20 guys in the league that can do that. There's some of them that can block that guy when he's tilted. But you've got the big shade. We still want to run the inside zone play, but we don't want this guy to make any penetration. We don't want the defensive tackle to make any penetration on the center. But the center needs some help. So what the center does is he calls for the guard to help him. Okay? We're still running the inside zone play. Okay? He's going to call for the guard to help him. And what he's going to say is he's going to use what we'll call a Philly technique. Philly technique. And what we're going to do now is the guard no longer is going to help work with the tackle. The guard is going to work with the center. So he's taking the read from the guard off of the linebacker and put it on the guy's still going to look at the linebacker, but he's taking the help off of the tackle. Now the tackle becomes a man block, and the tackle has to adjust. Okay? But the center now is going to work with the guard, and the guard's going to work with the center. So we call this a Philly technique. And what he does right here is he's going to take a deeper than normal drop step. Why? Because we want the guard, I'm talking about the right guard now. He's going to take a deeper than normal drop step and he's going to slow himself down. You don't want them to hesitate at the line of scrimmage. You want them to be moving their feet, moving their body, doing something. But he has to slow himself down because I want the center to bring the nose tackle to the guard. I don't want the guard to go back to the nose tackle. You see what I'm saying? We want the play to keep moving, but we really don't want to stop anybody. We just want to give the center a little hand so he can get better helmet placement on the guy and keep running the nose tackle so the defense keeps expanding. You hear Howard talk about theory of expanding angles. This is the guy, you know what I'm saying? But this play right here, this little nose, I was going to talk about this whole concept of this whole play. I'm just talking about little techniques in this one play. Okay? This shaded nose tackle right here, he takes a deeper than normal drop step and then he steps directly up the field with a second step. He steps directly up the field with a second step. So if I'm the right guard, I don't know if you can see my footwork here. Here's a shade right here. Okay? I'm the right guard. I got to buy myself some time because the center said I need some help on this guy. I can't get him. Okay? So what happens is that the guy takes a deeper than normal drop step and then he comes straight up the field with a second step. Okay? A deeper than normal drop step and straight up the field on a second step. He does not want to turn his shoulders into the nose tackle. He wants to keep his shoulders slightly on an angle, still looking at the linebacker. Still looking at the linebacker. As the center brings the nose tackle to the guard, what the guard's going to do is he's going to flip at this guy. Now, some of the guards will put one hand on the guy. Some of them you'll see flip at the guy. And I got one kid that will put his hands on him like this and not turn his shoulders and get off and block the linebacker. I didn't care. Okay? We want to slow the nose tackle down, not stop him. Slow him down so that the center gets on him. Right? And yet the play keeps expanding. It's a Philly technique. Center, you take a drop step. You know the guy's coached not to get reached. So you take your drop step. As the guy moves, you get your helmet in front of him. Don't put this hand on, right? And run the guy into the guard. You know you just made a Philly call. You know the guard's going to put him back to you. Okay? Get your helmet in front of the guy. Let him run. The guy's going to put him back to you. Now you get on him and just stay on him. Cover him up and let him run. That's time. Okay? A Philly technique. So we can still run the play. We can still run the inside zone play here and stop that guy and give the center a little help. How many guys have problems with that, right? You understand what I'm talking about? You have this problem with the guy beating your center in the A-gap when it's a tilted nose or a shade. But you really don't want to stop the guy. You just want to slow him down a little bit so the center gets on and the whole play keeps expanding. Have I lost anybody? We're on the same page here, right? Okay. That's called a Philly technique. Now, we tell the back, hey back, you just keep pressing the V-gap. Okay? And Howard's going to talk about this whole play from beginning to end. I'm just talking about little segments of this blocking here. Okay? You press the shit out of the V-gap right here. Okay? And it's going to look like an instance that we're not blocking that guy. For an instance to you, it's going to look like, hey, they didn't block that friggin' linebacker. Don't worry about it. We're going to get off and block him. Okay? Sometimes what happens is that this guy takes a drop step, the center runs this guy so far that he actually pushes him by the guard. He actually pushes the nose tackle past the guard. The guard takes him over, and the center goes up and blocks the linebacker. Okay? This is called a Philly technique. Okay? Let's take some look at this stuff. Now, all the stuff with what's the key point to the Philly technique? The front side guard, you're going to have to slow him down. How does he slow down? He takes a deeper than normal drop step. Don't let him hesitate. Just let him take a deeper than normal drop step. That'll be hesitation enough to get him going again. So let's just take a little look at the Philly technique. Philly technique. Okay, look at it. Okay, watch the right guard. See him take a deeper than normal drop step. Now he just puts the tackle on me and the tackle across the open. We just did this to teach you guys this block right here. Okay? He takes a deeper than normal drop step and then comes up the field with a second step. Okay? Now their eyes are on the linebacker. What's the linebacker doing? He's running over the top so the center stays on this guy. See the guards? Here's a good coaching point right here. Do you see his shoulder level, these two guys? See where his shoulders are? What happened to this one? Their shoulders are on the same, see the back shoulders? See the plane of his shoulders and the plane of those guys? Now the tackle's wrong. But watch the tight end and those two guys right there. See this? If the tackle was right, his shoulders would be in that same plane. But we're talking about this block right here. He blocked the linebacker, center runs with the nose tackle, and the ball comes behind it.
Tackle a man block.
Tackle's a man block, right. He's a man block now. Okay, here's another one. Philly technique. Rams. Philly technique. Here comes the center. They go into this linebacker right here so they can spend a little more time. Okay, what's going on here? I mean, that guy doesn't want to get reached.
Is he a man because of the Philly call?
He's a man because of the Philly call. We try sometimes one game we did it so we fill it. Okay, but look at the end just in case the incoming can't get all fucked up. Yeah, they're trying to. He's trying to. He's going to take a drop step and run with the nose tackle, but see what the linebacker is doing. There's another one, the left guard puts out one hand. And so one other one hand. Okay, hit left guard, one hand. You can stop him. You guys want to see a nice spot? Watch this kid right here. Okay, but he gets on the angle. He slows him down so the center gets on the angle. See, his angle to his shoulders. Philly technique. Same thing. Now see, you can use two hands and I turn the shoulders too much here. Now this is kind of a neat little deal. We put an extra lineman in the game, just so you guys know what's going on. We put an extra lineman in the game right here. Okay? And we took one of the wide receivers out or a back out or somebody out of the game. Okay? Because Minnesota likes to play with 8-man fronts. So we got 8 guys up here to block 8 of those guys. They never put the other guy in the box. So we blocked 8 on 8. Okay, right here. We kind of screwed Chicago. We put 2 backs in the game and 3 backs in the game. There was 3 backs in the game at one time. One guy's in the slot. You can't see him. They kind of figure out where to kind of line up here. Okay, but watch the right guy. See the Philly technique? Deeper than normal. He goes straight up the field with a second step. Watch the center bring. Now the center actually knocks him by the guard. Okay, the guard takes him. The center goes up and blocks the linebacker. And the play goes behind him. You don't know where the ball's going to go.
Bob, where's the landmark for your call side attack?
You should have an outside aiming point. You have 1 inch outside the sternum of the defender. The front side tackle should have a landmark of 1 inch outside the sternum of the defender. Now remember, he's got no inside help. He knows that. Okay? Here it is. Now we went twice in a row because the play was so good, we just ran it again. This ain't the same play. And I copied it again. This is the second play, one right after the other. And you Philly technique on the left side. So you don't want to stop the guy. You just kind of want to slow the guy down so the center can keep running with a nose tackle so you can keep expanding the defense. Philly technique over here on the shade. Now, this one over here, he didn't drop step with his outside leg. Okay, because the white linebacker was so far inside that he could get away with stepping with his inside leg. But it's the same concept.
Going to the tight end, and the tight end becomes a man block as well.
Yes. Now, we have to call sometimes what defense is this. You can use the tackle and the guard but we don't use it that much, and we called it a bump. And now the tackle would take a deeper than normal drop step, and he would bump this guy back to the guard. We called it a bump the guy back to the guard and do the same shit. See what I'm saying? That was a bump. We didn't use it. I think we may have used it. I was down as a line coach for 4 years. I think we may have used it a half a dozen times. Okay? But we used this one a whole mess of times. Okay, so the guy can change his footwork if the linebacker they're going to is removed, far over. You guys in the back there want to find seats. There's a million seats here. Someplace.
Bob,
Yeah.
if you just got the guard bubble in there, and might stretches, that change the surface of the guard bubble, that might add one in there.
Which one here? Which one?
Very beginning, no, there are two linebackers.
This one here? This one here? That one there? That one there? That's the one you left. Not this one here, it's the same place. This one here? This one here? No, this is the...
No, before that.
This one here.
There it is.
What about it?
Left guard.
Left guy's going to that guy.
Right.
He's still going to slow this guy down even though he's removed.
So you can read that linebacker flow over the top. That was no surface.
No, he's going to look at the linebacker, but he has to slow this guy first. If this guy goes over the top, he still has to take that angle to get to him. He may get there real late. If they sling this guy, they probably fly us.
Okay, so this is good by the left guard.
Was that?
That's good by your left guard.
Yeah. Now, well, it's not good. I'd rather have his helmet on the outside of the guy. And the helmet plate. You hear Jimmy talk about helmet placement tonight. I'd rather have his helmet on the outside of that guy and keep him on.
Left guard.
But yeah, that's all right. Because we told him to slow this guy down first. So that's not what he did. This is one of those games where I told him, you slam him, look just in case they slam that guy, see how much over here? That doesn't happen. Now we'll let him block that guy. You see what I'm saying? That was one of those games where I started to do that stuff. And for whatever reason, we got away from it later on. Okay? All right. That is a Philly technique.
Lights? Lights.
Now, the last thing here, how much time? Can you keep me on time here? Okay, when am I supposed to get off? Which way?
You've got 42 minutes, Coach.
How much?
42 minutes.
For me? Or for the whole 2 hours?
You've talked 42 minutes with you.
Before touch talks? No, touch is going to talk now,
You've
right?
talked 42 fucking minutes.
42 minutes. Okay. This is a quick one here. Okay? 42 fucking minutes. Jimmy's like my father. I've known him since 1975 when I was a young junior high school football coach. Ran into this guy.
You asked him the same question 4 times.
I didn't hear him because I can't hear him. There we go. All right. And then the last thing. You have the same problem going backside. Okay? You're running the inside play, but now, where's my pen? You're running the inside play, but now the guy is shaded backside. You understand what I'm saying? It looks like this. There's a guy back here. In this gap right here, there's a guy somewhere over here. There's a defender over here someplace. Okay? There's a guy here. Maybe it looks like this. Okay? And this guy becomes the problem right here. Okay? That guy is the problem guy. So now we're going to take the center, and we can use a nudge if the guy's on the center shoulder, if he's in the gap, or if he's in, you know what I mean, on one technique on the guard. So now we want to slow the center down. And the center's going to help with the backside down. It's like a Philly on the backside. So the center takes a deeper than normal drop step, or he slows himself down. He brings, you know what I'm saying? He lets the guard reach the one technique, or reach the gap. He lets the guard bring that guy over to him. Okay? He puts him back onto the guard, just the way I explained the guard did it to the center for the center. Okay? Then he goes up and he blocks the linebacker. You understand what I'm saying? This is a nudge. And I'll just show you a quick couple of these, and then I'll put McNally up here.
Does that make everybody strong then, man?
Say that again? Yes. If you're using that call, that means the guard's on a man to the front side. Now, when you get real good, the guard can, you know, he can be on a man, but the center may go watch that guard and look at the tweet technique just in case he comes inside. We got to practice. Okay, a couple of these and I'm out of here. wrong page. Dumb son of a bitch. Here we go. Nudge. Okay, watch your center. Center in the left guard. Center in the left guard. See it? Here it comes. Hits this guy, left guy takes him over, he goes up to the linebacker. Center, bring him back. See his shoulders? Left guard's on him. Up on the linebacker. Here's the tackle. He's kind of doing the tough technique with the 3 technique in the linebacker.
What do you do with the 3 technique for slants inside?
You got to adjust it to man, and if you get, you know what I mean, you just have to adjust to the 3 technique to swing it back. Well, we like linebacker wouldn't go in here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it goes over the top.
Right. There's a center, nudge.
Who's making the call?
Whoever needs the help. Probably on a nudge would be the guard. On affiliates, the center.
You pass that down, everybody pass it?
Yeah, you just talk to one another. Be a conversationalist. Talk to the guy next to you. Don't make it too rigid. Here's right here. Okay, now you get the idea. That's a nudge. Here's another one. Last one. Okay, good. Okay, lights. You guys get the idea. You got Philly nudges, tough techniques, but I'm giving you little techniques to help you. Okay? I'm giving you little techniques to help you. Does it work in college football? There's 2 plays. There's 2 plays. Okay, lights. Okay, watch the left tackle bring the guy back. You said you see last year. The left tackle brings the guy back to the guard. Okay, there's a seam. Watch over here. Watch this is a whole other ballgame. Watch the right guard, the right tackle. Now this is a whole other ballgame. This is against Miami. This is another way to pick up a twist in here that you never got to. But does it work in college? Yeah, you can teach all this shit in college football. You can teach them the same thing over there. They try to pick the stuff up against this over here again. So the tackle bring them back, the guy takes them, the tackle looks at the next level going over, they seal it down, and there's a seam in there. So you guys, you know, and there's a lot of other shots on here, but that's it. That's it for me. I'm going to bring Jim McNally up here. He's going to introduce punch you, and you know what I mean? And then we're going to keep on going. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, guys, believe me, I'm going to take Bob's thing. Although I didn't start this thing, you know, he gets fucked and he's stealing. But I'm going to write this gentleman's name down, his office telephone number, and his mailing address, all right? So mark this down. Tom Ilke. He's Turkish. Istanbul. That's where his parents were from, I believe. Okay, now, in Pittsburgh, all right? Office 412-831-9740. That's his office telephone number, and this is his mailing address, 2610 Cedar View, V-U-E, Pittsburgh, PA, 15241. That's his office telephone number and address. The reason I'm putting this up here is that a lot of you guys think I'm full of shit, which I am. But I've been coaching for, I don't know, 33 or 4 years. And you know, I'll blow my guts out. Anything I got new, I'll tell the whole world. I don't give a shit. I'm trying to help football. I want to see football move on, high school, college, whatever. I love seeing guys take techniques, develop them. If they stole it from me, I don't give a shit. Okay? We're all in it together. This guy here opened my eyes. I'm supposed to be a big-time coach, do all this bullshit. I didn't know a thing about pass protection when I bet him. I mean, I knew you can punch, use your hands, all these drills. This guy taught me what it's really all about. He just taught me this year. This guy was, in my opinion, the best pass blocking tackle in football as far as the use of the hands, punching people, knocking them down. I see him knock Reggie White down 6 or 7 times. The one he knocked him down. He only weighed 265. So what happened is there was this little videotape of him working his punching drills, and I got my hands on it, a lot of other coaches, and they said, that's the punch stuff, that's the punch stuff. So I said, screw it, I'm going to bring punch in. So we brought him in, he charges, and he worked with our offensive linemen at the Panthers for 1 full day. And our guys are better now. And what he's done is he knows how to train the hands, how to train the punch, how to blah, blah, blah. And the reason I'm bringing it up, this is the newest thing now. You know, they went to the wing team. They went to the drop step, the zone plays. In 3 or 4 years, this guy will be traveling all over the country teaching you how to punch. Now the thing, you can try to steal his videotape, get this, get that, but unless you have hands-on contact with him, unless he comes in and works with you, unless he works with your kids, it's not going to be as good as you just trying. Because when I first saw his tape, I didn't understand it. They're doing all these. When he told me and he taught me and he taught my kids, it's better. So I'm trying to sell this guy. He's got a business, he's got money, but he'll come to your school, work with your players, but you got to pay him. So you guys at these big schools, they got money. I don't know if you work with your kids. But you bring them in, and your pass blocking will improve 100%. Now, I don't know if you high school guys, if you can afford them or what, but you need to find out that this will be the latest deal. Now, I got a little tape of one of my guys doing some of his stuff. I'm not even going to say this is this, this is this. You watch a couple of my guys do some of these things with his hands. He's the one that taught him how to do it. And then he'll start talking about, he's not going to be up here all day, he's just going to whet your appetite so you want more touch. Okay, so let me just put this tape on.
Put that on tape now, damn it. Guy is, all right? Don't worry about it. I'm not even gonna just watch enough of it. I'll just go one more here. Not even gonna talk about it here, just. This guy in the blonde hair is the blocker. And you think you can teach this shit? I could. But touch can't, okay? So, this gentleman played 10 years with the Steelers, and he's made all pro now. When you see him, you know what to say, he's on the diet. So, here's Stunts Yelkin.
Tuck was in broadcasting. I think he can handle it.
Good morning. Can y'all hear me? I'm going to ask you guys to do me a favor. First of all, Jim McNally is my agent, as you can see. Now, a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, I've been out of the game. I retired in '93. I was a rookie in A and played 14 years. And When I was playing back in the late 70s, early 80s, a lot of guys were experimenting with martial arts and trying to become better football players. I know Bob Ward was training Randy White, Too Tall Jones, and Harvey Martin. They were doing a lot of stuff. One of the things they were doing was Kali and Wing Chun, which is kind of trapping hand techniques and stick fighting and knife fighting. Really interesting stuff. When I first came in the league, I was 240 pounds and I wasn't very good, and I was getting tossed around a lot. I was small and slow and your typical non-athlete. So I was looking for an edge. And I know a lot of guys were doing a lot of the martial arts, and I was thinking, how can I get that edge and how can I get better? Well, I got involved in a traditional Taekwondo program. And to be honest with you, I got to kick better and I got to do a spinning back fist better, but there was no carryover to the football field. And I met a guy by the name of Sarge Edwards, who was a little bitty guy, 160 pounds, 6'1", but this guy was an animal. And this guy was the toughest man I have ever met in my life. And I'm not one to say that I get intimidated easy by anybody, but this guy I would not want to mess with. And he saw me and Craig Wolfley. We were training with this martial arts guy, and Sarge comes up to me after the workout and he said, "Are you trying to become a good martial artist, or do you want to become a good offensive lineman?" I said, "Well, that's easy. I really don't care about being a martial artist. I just want to get better." And he said, "Well, I'm going to teach you a program that will teach you to punch better, that will teach you to use your feet better, that will teach you to generate more power for your body on the field, and there will be direct carryover. You will be able to use it on the field. You won't just be playing and doing these kicks and katas and stuff, but you will be able to jack people on the football field." And as I started working, the first time I trained with him, we started working on punching, and the first thing he said to me, and this is how it got my attention, is he goes, "You hit like a girl." And I said, "Wait a second." He goes, "You hit like a girl." I go, "Well, show me how it's done." He said, "You offensive linemen are all the same." He said, "You guys push because you push. You're pushing." He says, "You're not hitting anybody." He said, "You guys do all this stuff to improve fast twitch muscle fibers in your lower body. You plyometric with your legs, quick movements, explosive with your legs. But he said, the only thing you do for your upper body is you try to put a ton of weight on and bench press." And he was right. And as he was taking me through the workout, I found out real quick that I had no muscular endurance in my upper body, and I really had no penetrating power. And so, as I was working and I was gassing and he was busting my chops and telling me that I couldn't hit, I said, "Well, I made my first mistake." I said, "Show me how you do it." And so he says, "Well, you stand there." He says, and we were showing, this is how we punch. We try to punch with our open palms and into the chest. Well, he says, "Are you standing there and you feel it?" And I'm not kidding you. First thing he said, "You punch me as hard as you can." Well, I punched him. He's 160 pounds, and I was about 260 when I first started training this. And I punched him, and he just did like this. I said, "Okay, now you show me." Well, he punched me so hard it felt like he shoved my heart into my back. I mean, my chest literally felt like it caved in. And I was thinking to myself, geez, I want to do this. How am I going to, this guy's a little bitty guy. The only thing that saved me from hitting the back of my head on the ground was the wall that he punched me into. And I'm not lying, I went boom. It felt like I got hit by a shotgun blast. I was literally taken off my feet, and the first thing I thought of was, geez, now if I could generate half that power, okay, for my body, as Sarge does for his body, man, I might have something here. Well, like I said, back then a lot of guys were doing the martial arts stuff, so I started hanging out with Sarge. Now, if you ask me what's the most important thing about pass blocking, I will tell you hands. To me, the guy with the best hands wins. Hands down. There's no, you could bucket step, you could be too high, you could be leaning, but if you get your hands in there and you get a good jam on a defensive lineman, you're going to win. You're going to get your hands inside. So as I started training with Sarge, and I want to ask you guys to help me out here. Normally, I don't lecture this. When I teach this, I'm working with guys on the field or in the gym, and I need you to be interactive with me. I don't know about you, but why is very big for me. All right, why is very important. I want to know why we're doing things. So while I'm talking here, if you don't understand something, ask me. And the first way that we broke, the first part of the program, let me tell you what the program is broken down into 5 parts. The first part is punching and punching power. The second part is called centerline training. The third part is sensitivity training. The fourth part is trapping. The fifth part is the footwork. All right, and it's all intertwined, but I'm going to break it up into sections as we go along. And what you saw Max guys doing was kind of a combination of all of it. Where's Dougie Marone at? All right, Dougie, when I need you, would you please come up and help me demonstrate? The first thing, as a matter of fact, Doug, would you mind coming down here so that way you can come up here? Dougie and I were with the Steelers together in '89, and so he said he would be my partner in some of this thing. The first thing that Sarge taught me to do in punching is I wanted to generate power in the punch. First thing I found out was, as an offensive lineman, I was more concerned with bench pressing, and I thought that's how you punched, by having your elbows out and just power, bringing it from here and just throwing it. What it was like a push. Doug, would you please come up here? So when I first started punching, I would come out and I would punch, okay, and as you notice, I'm punching with a flat hand. Alright? The problem with a flat hand is that when I punch, the power dissipates throughout the body. The first thing Sarge told me is you want to hit with the heel in your hand. Because when that power dissipates, you're losing a lot of that energy. So the first thing he got me working on was improving the flexibility in my hands. Alright? That's something that I don't have a lot of, and most offensive linemen don't. You want to get your fingers out of the way, and you want to concentrate with this portion of the hand, the heel of the hand. So just get a feel of that, because when your elbows are in and your hand is extended and that heel is exposed, believe it or not, and I didn't believe this at first, it took me getting hit about 20 or 30 times by Sarge. Now I'm not the smartest guy in the world, so I figured out eventually that is where the power comes from. So now, the first thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to really punch hard and with my hand, but I was getting no penetration. When I started punching with Sarge, I started using the heel of my hand. Now I want you guys to, let's come over here in the middle. When I hit, you see that I really don't jack it, okay? When I hit with my hand, my elbows are out, I'm getting a dissipation. Now, I take that same punch, but I rotate my elbow in, and I put my fingers up, and now, when I hit him, there's a penetrating blow. You saw a little bit difference in his head. Now, his head doesn't really move here. When I hear that, the head snaps, all right? And so, if you ask Doug, did that feel different on 2 punches?
Yes.
All right. When you have it's like a knifing motion. When you hit the heel of your hand, you're penetrating, and my first thought was, well, hey guys, Sarge, they're wearing shoulder pads, he's got a breastplate, it's not going to penetrate. He goes, put the shoulder pads on. Like I said, I'm not too bright, I keep asking for punishment. All right, and so he says, now you come pass rush me, and I'm telling you, you will feel this through a breastplate on a shoulder pad. It will penetrate even the shoulder pad. The next thing he taught me was that I was carrying my hands too low, okay? Most guys, and early in my career, I wanted to punch from right here. This is where I was most comfortable. Well, he said, Toots, I think you'd be better off if you carried your hands a little higher. And I said, why? And he said, first of all, when your hands are lower, and as my career started to progress, the smart defensive linemen did not like getting their chest punched out, so they started going, okay, I want to work his hands. Now, who would you hold your hands up, please? Normal, like normal. When your hands are this low, all right, and I'm a defensive lineman, and I come in, and I don't know how much of you see in college or high school, but in the NFL, this is a very big move. Down, okay, down. Getting the hand down. Now, when your hands are that low, and I grab them, okay, now they're pinning your chest, they're doing you no good at all. Sarge told me to pick my hands up and place them right about eye level. Would you please put them up about eye level? See, now, if I come down and I pull his hand down, I'm actually pulling him into a better punching position with more power. You know, the low hands, you get knocked down, they're no good. You carry them a little bit higher, and all of a sudden now you knock them down, and they're right in position where you want to punch. The second thing he told me, the reason about that is please keep your hands up again, is this is the way boxers train. Okay? If any of you guys have ever fought, boxers like to keep their hands, fundamentally, what boxers want to do is they want to keep their eye level over their hands. And it's kind of like playing a video game. If you go to the arcade and you play one of those space games where you're blowing up cities and other airplanes and stuff, what happens? You've got a couple of sights, you want to line the sights up with your target. Well, when you carry your hands a little higher and you're seeing over your fingertips, your hands are actually seeing. One of the things that Sarge used to say is, see with your hands. And when you're keeping your hands at this eye level, so now whatever movement I'm making, if I'm coming over with a club or if I'm swimming, as you see the movement a little bit quicker because you're looking through your hands. Now I am still boring a hole in the chest of the man as far as what my initial aiming point is, but I'm looking over my hands, so I'm seeing his whole body, and I'm really seeing the square area, okay? The square area where whatever move, whether it's a club, whether it's the rip, or whether it's the bull rush, I am seeing that square area through my hands. So whatever comes at me, that's when I'm firing the punch. The other thing, put your hands up there. The other thing that Sarge told me was, you have to realize that the punch, the power of the punch is generated not from the upper body, not from the deltoids and the chest and the triceps, but to get real good penetration, it's got to be generated from the lats. Okay? It's got to be generated from lats. It's not from the hips where you're jumping on your feet, but it's generated from the lats. Please put your hands up once again. So, I want you to get your elbows in and your hands up. And also, here's another thing. You don't got to keep your hands by your side. One of the problems that I had early in my career is I wanted all my movements to be very grossly exaggerated. So I'm punching all the way over here, and then I was punching to a full extension. Well, Sarge said, that's garbage. That ain't going to help you any. He said, all you need to do is lock it. Okay? So what you want to do is start with a bent arm about this much, and I don't know what that is in degrees, never was very good at math. And you want to extend maybe 2 to 3 inches. So you're coming here and you're coming out, but you're never extending the full extension. So let me show you now. Okay, so I'm coming in here. When he comes into the movement, I'm punching, and I'm not extending more than that. I'm starting out here, come again, boom, and I'm coming and I'm extending right back to the point. So it's an extension to not full extension. You don't ever want to go complete extension, because the further you get out, the more strength you lose. This is where you are strongest, most powerful, and most compact. That's when you get the most penetration in your punch. Key is getting your elbows. One thing that happens is when you start working this, the elbows, it's a real conditioning bear. I mean, when I work Jimmy's guys out, I mean, there was something serious here. Guys are not used to doing endurance type punching, endurance movements with their upper bodies. They start gassing. But you know what? You don't realize, or I didn't realize that I didn't start doing it correctly until I was completely gassed. See, because my triceps, my biceps, and my delts are going to burn out way before my lats will, because they're smaller muscle groups. All right, and so one of the things that we start doing, we've got the hand placement a little bit higher, got the elbows in. What happens, the tendency is, when you start working in endurance, is the elbows want to drift out. The guys, their elbows, it just happens. And it's very important that you work on your flexibility, try to get your elbows together, because most offensive linemen have these huge chests, and it's almost an impossibility for them. So we would work some drills. Hold on. What I'm going to show you is, if you have a shield or if you have a heavy bag, you can do this. I want you to hold it up to your chest. We would work. The thing that we were doing was we were working on punching for endurance and punching for penetration and for power. The only way you can do this is rep it over and over and over and over again. So we can follow a simple formula going 15 seconds on, 15 seconds off, 15 for 3 sets, and then let the next guy do it, and keep going back and forth. And the initial part is just working. And now the best way to do this is to work it on not do it on a person, but do it. I don't want to do it on this wall. I don't know how secure it is. But if Dougie's pretend this is held up against the wall, all right. So it's my turn. I'm up. I'm punching for 15 seconds as hard and fast as I can. All right, and I'm using. This will develop the muscular endurance because once again, we want to be able to punch on the first play of the game, and we want to be able to punch on the last play of the game. Now, if you look around football today, there are not a lot of guys who like to punch because they're afraid. I've heard this 100 times, and I've trained with I don't know how many guys over the years. While I was playing, guys would always come up to me and they'd say, "What is that you were doing? What's that punch stuff? You want to train together." And you know, I'm a guy, I love to teach this stuff. I think it is the greatest. And so we'd start working out. And this is the question I would get all the time. But I'm afraid to punch. What if I miss? Well, my mindset was this. I'm afraid not to punch. All right? At 265 pounds, if I try to grab a cloth and dance with somebody, I'm ending up in the quarterback's lap. It's going to get ugly, and I'm not going to be out there very much. So my whole thing was, I want to punch. I want to get a good punch. Now people say, well, why do you punch? Let's put this down for a second. Why do you punch? Well, the thing is, back in the late 70s, Coach Radakovich was teaching us for the Steelers during the Super Bowl years, and then Raleigh Dodge started teaching pass blocking through punching. And what punching does is it stops the initial movement of the player and it makes him restart. So if Dougie's throwing a move, go ahead and throw a move. You come in to stop. Okay, now if you get a punch on him, you jam it in the chest, he's got to restart. So what would be great is the guy would swim, try to swim, boom, punch, and then he'd stop. Okay, now I've got to restart. All right. One of the things, the next thing that started teaching me was you've got to punch at different angles. I mean, although we'll sit here and we'll demonstrate it straight in, very rarely is that the case. But you're punching, you punch it down, you punch it out, you punch it to the side, and what your body needs to do, what your upper body needs to do is get used to punching at different angles. So the next sequence on the punch drill would be a punch high and a punch low. So you're high and low, same thing, and it'd be all right, real quick and real sharp. Once again, concentrating on the lats. That's where you want to generate your power. Getting the good flexibility in your heel, your hands, that's where you're getting the penetration. All right, we're getting used to punching low and punching high. Then the next sequence in the punch drill would be punching opposite corners. All right, and that's so. Let's get over here. So actually, what I'm doing is I'm getting used to punching right hand high, left hand low. All right, and this is once again punching into different angles is what gives you the muscular endurance and just getting used to punching. One of the reasons, guys, another reason that a guy doesn't want to punch is because he's not used to punching. I mean, we would drill this over and over and over and over again. So now the punching aspect of this is becomes second nature. It's just part of it. And so we would do the second sequence, the third sequence would be punching opposite corners, same thing, 15 seconds on, 15 seconds off, rest, let the next guy go. Then work in the opposite corners. Now, the next sequence in the punch drill would be it's like a double punch, but working opposite corners, so it's same thing. It's getting used to a quick hammering piston-like punching and working the out. Once again, you're getting used to your hands working a little bit independently of each other. The next problem that I used to have was it was like my hands were tied together. All right? Let's put this down for 1 second, Dougie. So if Dougie's a pass rusher and I'm set up for a pass and he knocks one of my hands down, it's like my other hand would follow. You know, for some reason, it was like they were on the same wavelength. And Sarge used to say, you've got to get used to doing punching independently of each other. That way, if one hand gets knocked down, if he knocks down one hand, the other one comes in, and you still got one weapon. All right, for some reason, you tie one of my hands, both of my hands would go dead. So we worked we worked a punch drill where now we're working all four corners. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's working the opposite corner. Same sequence. Three sets of punches at 15 seconds on, 15 seconds off. And this is where the bear really jumps on your back, boy. It's really strong. Your upper body is completely gassed, and you're sucking air. And something about independent punching is that when it's a whole different source of energy for an offensive tackle. Now, ideally, what I want to get is a good penetrating. I want to shock them. Sometimes, because you get a hand knocked down or whatever, say he knocks one of my hands down. All right. Now this is the hand, like I said, this is the hand that's got to work. But it has a different effect on this guy. Now, if you watch him coming in, now I'm going to hit him with an independent combination on different shoulders, and what that will do is it'll rock you in a certain way where it kind of shocks you. Sarge used to tell me that in boxing, if you feel like you're getting bored in on it, if you just start throwing them, the guy that you're playing, the way the sight lines work, it just for an instant makes your body stop and say, okay, whoa, I see a bunch of movement. What is it that's going on here? So when he's coming in, see now that, what that does is it's still penetrating, it's still shocking, but it has a little different effect. See now he's getting rocked a little bit in different angles, and it's kind of he sees a lot of movement coming at him, and it causes you to just pause for a second and kind of say, okay, now what am I going to do? I'm getting jacked here. There's a nice jackhammer effect here. So it's causing the defensive lineman to stop and rethink, and it's also just shocking the heck out of him. Thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks. You got it? Oh, you don't go far. I'm going to use you in a couple minutes. All right. The second. Also, another thing is recoil is very important. As we look at and this works for tackles more. Centers and guards, obviously, and we were talking about this last night. When you get a nice penetrating punch in, you want to keep what you have. Like we were talking about last night, you've got that penetration, you've got them worked in here, and you want to keep your hands on them and work them as you go. For a tackle, especially working on the wide guy, separation is a good thing because we work what we used to call the vertical line. And if this guy's out here, he's not a threat to me right now. When he crosses that line, that's where he gets a threat. So when he comes in, at the point of impact, boom, I want to punch, and I will pull my hand back. If you talk to good fighters, they'll tell you that recoiling their punch, getting ready to, pulling it back, is more important than actually throwing it out there because you want to get ready to punch again. So it's very important that after you punch, when you do these drills, you don't just leave your hands out there, so you recoil. So they're loaded. Okay, so the gun's loaded once again. The second part of this program is called the trapping. All right. Doug, why don't you come up here again? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to send you back so far. One of the things that'll start happening is when you start punching, at least when I start punching, and I start carrying my hands kind of high, now guys are thinking, okay, put your hands up high and punch. All right, now what do I see there? I see an opening in the chest, and I'm thinking, bull rush. All right? And they're looking at me, being light in the butt, and they're going, bull rush. I want to run this guy back into the quarterback. Well, and most times when the guys get bull, they're bull rushing. The guys are trying to fight, they're fighting, trying to get back. Well, one of the things that Sarge told me is the thing that makes a bull rush so effective is the leverage and the bridge, the arm being the bridge. And he used to say, if there is no bridge, there is no bull rush. And if you look around the league and you watch, and I would imagine this is true in college too, most guys bull rush like this, with their feet way behind them and their hips not under them at all, because what? They want to get leverage. They want to get you back in the quarterback's lap. So what Sarge used to tell me is you want to start eliminating that bridge. And so as hard as we punch, and as much as we want to punch, sometimes we miss the punch. And sometimes we're slow. And sometimes the guy's boring on you so quick, you don't react fast enough, and he's got leverage. Okay, Dave. So now Dougie's coming in, and he is starting to bull rush me, and I'm losing ground. Obviously, he's bigger and stronger than I am, and I'm going to end up in the quarterback's lap. Now, he's got his hands on me, and what I want to do is remove the hands. This is where the concept of Wing Chun comes in, or trapping hands. He's born in on me now. Can you all see this? He's coming in hands on me, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go watch myself. Yeah, take this off. When he's coming in on me, what I want to do is remove the bridge. Now, it's basically just knocking his hands down, although it's not that simple a technique. Once again, we want the energy here generated from the lats, and I want it, my aiming point, I want it to be up near his elbow, okay? I don't want it to be close to the wrist, because if I try to knock his hands down and I miss, I'm dead. All I'm doing is pulling his strength into my weakness, basically, and I'm pulling myself back into the quarterback. But when I go further, closer to the elbow, what I'm doing, I have a lot less chance of missing, and also I have more control. If you look, if I've got him here, I really don't have control. But if I have elbow, I've got a lot more control. So when he's coming in, he's pouring in on me, all right, I'm coming back. All right, what I'm going to do now, go ahead. I'm not going to hurt him. I'm not going to. He's coming, he's Doug and I go way back. So as he's pushing, I'm coming in, okay, and I'm now moving the bridge. And once again, it goes back to, did you see the head snap? That's what tells you it's effective. And the beauty of this is that after you trap a guy, the first thing that'll hit normally is his chin, because he's not prepared for this movement. See, right now, when Dougie's locked up, he thinks he's got leverage, he thinks I'm going for a ride, and he's going to get a sack, and he's going to get up and go, me, right? All right, well, what this is doing is totally, number one, catching him off guard. He's not prepared for this. And the second thing it does, it's bringing his head to down here. And what makes this such a beautiful thing is that now you've got his head, the back of his head, the back of his shoulders under you, and then boom, you follow up with a punch. And then you get him on the ground, you knee him, you elbow him, you drive him into the dirt, because hey, you're creating dominance. Alright? You know as well as I do that those defensive linemen can't wait to play the quarterback, and someone told offensive linemen that they need to be passive in their pass blocking, and I'm saying no, you don't have to be. This is a way to be dirty, not dirty, but nasty, physical. I don't like that word dirty. I don't believe in offensive linemen. It's already rush blocking against those genetic mutations over there, and it's already no contest. But anyway, so once you get a guy, so he's coming down, all right, and then you work him down, drive him into the ground. Now we work these one after another. Now his forearms, if I'm doing this right, his forearms are getting really sore because it's a very biting movement. I mean, if you guys try it, it's a different thing. It penetrates the forearm. It feels like a baseball bat whacking on your forearm. And guys, I'm telling you what, it's so destructive that you can physically abuse a guy afterwards. Now sometimes, for the shorter guys, they're not going to be able to trap a big, tall guy like Doug. The opposite of the trap is what's called a wedge. Now, a wedge, to be honest with you, I would practice it always, but for every 20 traps I threw, I might throw one wedge. But now other guys that I've trained really like the wedge better because they're naturally low-body guys and they're squat monsters. And the wedge, and now he's a taller guy and he's got me up here on my shoulder. Now I'm not going to be able to come over that and trap it. So the wedge is coming up and hitting the elbows, inside of the elbows, and it's the same thing. The movement is like knocking your hair out of your eyes. And once again, this is generated by the lats, and it's a quick movement that it's not my English isn't the greatest, like Jim said, I was born in Turkey, but you come in like that and you want a nice compact move, okay? You don't need a gross movement, because all I need to do is I need to get his hands off me, and what the tendency is for guys to want to do this, okay? Now that's wasted movement. All I want to do is come up here, because then I want to punch right after, because everything that Sarge taught me that we do starts with a punch and ends with a punch. It always starts with a punch and ends with a punch. The trap and the wedge and these other movements are part of it, and when the punch doesn't work, or misses, or is caught, alright, then you're going to the trap and you're going to the wedge, and then you're punching over it though, because you always come back to the point. So when you're trapping, when you're trapping, you come down. See, I don't need to trap any further than this because my hands are ready to punch. So a lot of the drills we'll do that we'll put together, we're trapping, we're punching, we're punching, we're trapping. So now, when you're working a defensive lineman, you're shaking him around, you're jacking him, you're throwing him around. He doesn't know what, he's getting different types of attack that he's really not sure. I tell you what, when you start trapping a guy and he falls on his face, he don't want to bull rush you anymore because he's embarrassed. He just got buried. All right, and they don't want to bull rush anymore. They start rushing kind of hard. The next thing in a series of that is called a sweep.
Hey, on the wedge, what's the landmark?
The landmark is always the same. It's right around, if you were to do a diameter around your forearm, it's right before it hits the elbow. So the closer you get to the elbow, the more it hurts. All right, and the less chance you have of missing, and the more control you have. And it's just, and as you watch me, it's just like, you know how you knock your hair out of your eyes? That's the movement. Just like this. And the rotation is what causes the pain on the forearm. The rotation on the trap down and the rotation on the wedge up is what causes the pain. And believe me, you start working your guys, and when I was working with Max guys, after about 6-7 hits, they're all going, man, I don't want to do this anymore. But don't worry, because the nerve endings in your arm eventually die from this, and then you can just keep whacking the heck out of each other. You build up the tolerance to it. The last in the sequence is called the sweep. Okay, now the sweep works great more for pass blocking or more for run blocking than it does for pass blocking, but it works especially good on waggles or sprint protection. Say I want to get this guy hooked up on me. I want to get him hooked, but Doug's got me hooked. I'll turn my back here. Doug's got me hooked, and I'm trying to, and he's working, like a defensive end, he'll straighten it out. All right, now a trap is kind of like a side. A sweep is kind of like a side trap. So he's got me in like this. He's got control. I'm still trying to get it. Now I come across it and I sweep him. All right, and he loses his. Now where he had control and he had leverage, it was just replaced by me. And it's a simple. Once again, it's the key to this. All these movements is all in the torque, which is generated from the lats. And so once again, I'll show you real quick. He's got me. He's out. I'm going to come in, and now I have dropped the mic, yeah. Anyhow, thanks, brother. We'll see. We're going to do something. All right, the next portion of what we were doing is called the hand sensitivity. And okay, now guys are trying to knock my hands down. All right, I'm punching guys. You're punching guys. Your guys are punching guys. The defensive ends are going defensive ends. Sometimes it takes defensive linemen a little while to figure it out. Most defensive linemen I know will not change their pass rush against the guy. What they'll do is, they're going to do what they do best. Well, heck, I got there on a club last time, I'm going to keep clubbing, or I'm going to keep ripping, or whatever. But what started happening after a while is guys would want to knock my hands down. And so what would happen a lot of times is he'd knock my hands down, my hands would go down, and now I would have nothing. Well, we started doing this next program, or this next workout, which was called a hand sensitivity. And really, this is best done with your eyes closed to get a feel of it, because it's too easy to cheat with your eyes open, and it's too easy to see something that's not there. So I've got my hands on him, or you put your hands on me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to knock his hands down right in front of me. Okay, I'm not going to. This isn't one of those conditioning workouts where it's generated to suck the air out of you. But this is a feel thing. What I want to teach guys to do, and what Sarge taught me, was to roll your hands. As I put it now, I want you to knock one of my down. Roll around, kind of like mercury, like in the meter, coming right off, right there. So you're coming off fast. There you go. And get the feel of rolling that hand around. So your hands are light when they're in space, and they're heavy upon impact. And as soon as you feel something on them, you want to roll back. And what I start doing is doing like this one, and just start working it, one at a time, for 30 seconds, a minute at a time. Working each hand independently, and then start changing it. Okay, now I'm changing. Now I'm doing the same hand 3 times, and maybe the other hand once, and just working it so the guy gets used to it. It's very important to do this eye close to get used to that hand sensitivity. So when you're working the circles, once again, all the movements need to be very compact and very concise. You don't want any gross movements, because you want to be back. Once again, he knocks my hands down, I want to be back to center, and I want to punch him. And eventually, we throw all these things together, and it's not just a hand wrapped around, it's now my hand comes down, boom, and I'm punching over, boom, I'm punching over. And it all goes back to the punch. But this is used there. Guys are trying to knock your hands down. The next thing that guys would say, but too much guys are grabbing my hand. If you get your hands up, a big move that guys do, I guess once again, I don't know how much you do with college, but guys will come up and they'll pick the hands up and they'll walk into the quarterback. It's a very vulnerable position. And what guys try to do, and I used to do this too, is you got my hand and you're walking me back. I'm trying to pull him back, and all I'm doing is getting him closer to the quarterback. Now, as I grab his hands and he tries to pull them out, he can't pull them out because I've got hold of them. Now, but if you notice, whenever someone grabs hands, there's a gap right here between the thumb and the forefinger. And it's really a simple matter of leverage. All you need to do is rotate your hand down and it breaks. Really, now watch that. Just breaks. I'm not even really trying. Hold it real hard, Dougie. It eventually will break the gap right there. And if you do it hard, when he's got me up here, if you throw it down, now hold him real tight, and you once again you throw him down. He's following and he's going down because he's so hard in this whole method. It's so hard that he's got your hands and he wants them. So what literally happens is, when guys got your hands, you throw him down, and he follows, or he's got to let go. Either way, he's going to either go down or he's going to be in a vulnerable position for you to finish up. And the last thing that we do is centerline training. Okay, centerline training is simply this. One of the problems I had early on too is that I thought the chest was the center line. All right, so when I'm playing a guy, if he spins, let him spin. My hands would follow his chest, and I would fall off it. Fall off it. Do you hear me? Sorry, there we go. I would fall off of it. And so what the program teaches is the center line is like there's a pole that has been driven down through the opponent's head and comes out his butt. That is the center line. So now, as my hands are on Doug's chest, if he does a quarter turn one way, quarter turn, this is now the center line. Now, what was very effective in centerline training with my hands horizontal here, side by side, okay, now on the side, no longer becomes so, because as Doug leans into me, go ahead, lean. See, he has split my hands. So, it's very important that when on a quarter turn, now my hands are vertical, okay? And the closer down I have on his elbow by his hip, the more control I have. This, I don't have as much control as this. See, the hip, like you guys know, the body goes where the hip goes. My hand's on his elbow, I've got control right here. Now, if you quarter turns more, go ahead, no. Now I'm back to horizontal, now turn back. So we do these drills independently. You're getting to use, so put your, now you be the offensive guy. Okay, so I'm moving here, right, back. That's good. Sorry. That's good. Now watch the drill, go ahead. Okay. Now, the thing I don't like about it is when the hands are horizontal, that's when you get that's where you penetrate the hand movement. But we would do this for a minute at a time or 30 seconds at a time, getting the movement with the hand placement. So you're always, once again, and then you start mixing these things up together. You do the, can you all hear me without this thing? Can you hear me in the back? Good, I have to use it. Then what happens is you start mixing them together. You do the sensitivity with the centerline training, with the punches, and it all becomes one. Thanks. The last part of the program, or of this program, is the footwork aspect of it. Now, I know that a lot of, if you talk to 4 different offensive line coaches, they're going to have a little different opinion on how to work footwork drills. But the thing that Sarge taught me was that for true power, for true strength at that point of contact, whether it's a 2-gap pass rusher who's right on you, or whether it's a wide guy, you got to have both your feet in the ground at the same time. And when I first started playing as a wide guy, I used to want to get a real big jump and really cut this distance, because Lawrence Taylor or Charles Mann or somebody that's going to burn up the corner that I really want to get on quick. And Sarge said, no, I'll tell you what, 2 quick little steps will beat 1 long step anytime. And when I watch you play, he says, I see you doing this. You are reaching to stop a guy. So if a guy's ramming on me on the right tackle and the defensive end is doing a ram charge, I'm reaching to cut him off, which puts me in a weak position 2 ways at the point of impact, because I'm reaching, I haven't the weight distribution just yet, and also if he clubs back, I've got that foot in the air, and I'm not ready to block him. What Sarge used to say was, you want to be able to push off, fire, and have the weight distribution. So if I'm like here, and we do these simple boxer's trips, so you're on the balls of your feet, okay? So when I'm cutting a guy off here, I'm pushing to cut him off, okay? I'm not reaching, I'm pushing. And because so many athletes play basketball, when I start showing them this drill, what they want to do is they want to do this. Now watch my feet. They want to do that. And what they're doing is they're clicking their heels, all right? And they're getting their feet together. So once again, so when I start setting up these drills, I see a lot of this. They want to catch up. They want to catch up when they're doing the drills. Sarge would say that when we would work a 2-step drill, where you just get used to firing off, so your feet and your hands are working in unison. The other thing he used to say is see with your hands, think with your feet. So you're really thinking with your feet. So you're pushing off to cut off. So when we start doing these drills, it's a matter of getting used to pushing off. So the weight distribution is right where it needs to be. So if I'm right here and I'm setting out and the guy's moving inside, okay, I'm pushing back to get him. Okay, I'm not reaching back. So there's no wasted movement. And if my right foot is moving 4 inches or 3 inches, that's all the more that my left foot should move, okay? Because when I would get in trouble, it was 2 things. When my feet would get close together, or when my feet would get real wide apart. Now, there'll be times in the pass rush where you will take a step you don't want to step. But if you're thinking with your feet, and if you're pushing off to cut off, guys, your feet always catch up to where they need to be. You may have a bucket step, or you may have a bad step. So the guy's way out, and you're going, oh boy, I want to get out here. But and you click your heels for a second. If you're used to doing the footwork drill, you're back down here, okay? And now you're back to where you want to be. So the weight distribution is always where it needs to be. Drills that we do on this, 2 minutes at a time to start off. Parallel stance 1, just side to side. Get used to the feel. Most guys have trouble with that feel because they're so used to doing it the opposite way. And now some guys pick it up real quick, but for some guys, so it's just get used to pushing. And also when you teach your guys to do this drill, if they're going to loaf in the drill, because it's a 2-minute long drill, gas is the legs, have them loaf in between. So the step they take, make it a quick one. The step they take. And then we go to 2 steps, so it's back and forth. So it's you're getting your feet in the ground at the point of impact. And we do this side to side, and we do this back and forth as well. So 1, 2, and I do it with different leads. Even if you're a right tackle, it's good to work with a left lead as a left tackle as well. And so we would do that, and we'd work the line. Okay, we'd work the line and have some of these other stuff incorporate the other stuff. Was what Max guys were doing. They were working the line with the hand sensitivity. They were working the line with the center line training. Well, that's it in a nutshell. I know I threw a lot of stuff at you. If you guys have any questions or you want to know anything, let me know.
You talked a little bit about the plus of punching rather than grabbing and holding. When you train yourself initially.
Well, my whole thing was the punch is everything. You know, I learned that early in my career. I had success early in my career. I only held on run blocking. I never held on pass blocking, or very rarely. Only when I was losing a guy and I had to yank him down. But to me, in my height and size, if I grab a hold of a guy, I'm going for a ride. If I'm trying to dance with him, I'm going for a ride. And the thing that punching does is it puts me on the attack, okay? It puts me on the attack. And the only way that I'm going to punch effectively is if I punch over and over and over again. And what happens is,
if you put your guys in a situation to win, like you do it over and over in individual, before you get to one-on-ones, because what happens is, when you go to one-on-ones, now you want to win, and you throw everything out the window. Now, I'm throwing out, I want to win, all right, I want to win. And even a guy that's punched over and over and over again, if a guy knocks his hand, if I get beat early in pass rush in a game, sometimes I'm going, uh-oh, what'd I do wrong? Now I want to go back to that security blanket, that cloth. That's what I want to grab. So the more you rep it, especially in individual, before you get to the one-on-ones, and really this program is really not a Band-Aid. It's like you get out of it what you put into it. As a guy that did it, I did it for 10 off seasons. And that doesn't mean that you need to do it for 10 off seasons to pick it up. My last year in '93, I was with Green Bay, and Rich Moran picked it up in 2 weeks, just in training camp. You know, I worked a little bit after practice with him, and he loved it. He was snatching guys and drilling them, punching. Kenny Rutgers, who became a very good friend of mine, he was a guy that always wanted to cross-monitor. He always wanted to stick his hand and ride a guy and goes, Kenny, cut the other arm off, you're not using it. You know, and then Kenny started punching. He started picking up and feeling very, very comfortable with it. But it's something that you got to do over and over and over again. And one of the things that I would do is I would drill it in walkthrough, okay? I mean, I'm playing with the guys in walkthrough. I'm not trying to drill them, but I'm playing with it. I'm always thinking, okay, in between sets in the weight room, I'm drilling it. I always work on it. You know, you could do this on a heavy bag by yourself if you got nobody else to work with. I was always working on a heavy bag, working it, and just trying to get into the mindset where you got to get to the point where you're afraid not to punch and realize that if I punch this guy, I'm going to wire him. And one thing about this is, if I can do this, anybody can do it. I mean, anybody can do it. You know, I don't care how. I mean, I'm a little bitty guy initially by this league standard, not athletic, not quick, but I can do it. If I can do it, your guys can do it. Anybody else? Yes.
They take on the outside swim technique if you don't extend your arms.
Well, it's still an extension. It's just not see, what happens is when you extend too much, you start hyperextending your elbows. Early in my career, when I was punching at 100% extension, I had a lot of elbows problems. I was getting a lot of cortisone shots in my elbows because of tendonitis and the bursitis of the body. When I get to this point right here, it's still, the extension is it's more powerful, it's stronger, and it's still, I don't care what he's doing. Because you hit a guy in the chest when he's swimming. I tell you what, swim guys are cake for this program. I mean, swim guys, you start licking your chops. Guy swims, boom, because he comes out there like a popcorn fart. I mean, I'm not kidding you. He's backflipping. Because he's off balance, you know. Same thing if you talk about a rip. A guy rips, a good ripper, I'm always looking at that right hand. So I'm gonna catch the rip. Tell you, when you come up here again, I'm gonna catch the rip before I'm gonna punch the rip. All right, number one, if I miss the rip on the punch, then I'm going to trap the rip. If I miss the trap, then I'm going to kidney punch. Okay, so as he's throwing the rip, go ahead and throw the rip. Now go ahead and throw it like you did. Go ahead and throw it like you did. I want to punch him right there, okay? Now stop the rip. Now say I'm slow. Now he's sitting, now the rip is coming. Go ahead, rip is coming. Now I want to trap it like that. Okay, now I'm coming across his forearm with my elbow, which is really smart, especially if I hit his forearm with my elbow. And then the third thing is now I missed all three. Now he's got that rip in and he's boring in on me. Okay, see the kidneys are exposed, and this is the most vulnerable area. Really, it's a beautiful thing. I'm telling you what, and this is a good thing to work heavy on a heavy bag, just doing open palm hooks on a heavy bag. Because now he's right here. I'm not going to just tense up everything. I'm going to boom. I want to hit that, and what happens is your legs say, nope, I ain't doing it. Your legs stop. When you get a kidney punch, your legs stop.
So, Tunch, you don't just push, lock out, and ride. Everything you do
Now,
is hard.
I would never want to just place my hand on anybody or anything. If I'm going to put my hand there, I'm going to drill it. Because what? We learned right away that just that much is penetrating. Believe it, you guys are going, I mean, that much is penetrating. You get a guy and you pop him, and you never, so guys right there, and I was telling a couple of coaches last night, we were playing the Bears back in like 90, and me and Terry Long, right guard, screwed up the protection. I looked right, he looked left, he was blocking wall left, I was blocking wall left. Steve McMichael out of the corner of my eye is going free. Now a lot of this was luck, But a lot of it was just the fact of punching over and over again. So I see him out of the corner of my eye and he's coming free, and I just throw a punch out like that. Now I timed it right. He was cross-legged when I hit him in the shoulder and he went down. But the thing is, when you're punching at different angles and your mindset is now, I'm not monitoring like this. Like I'm not going to put my hand here and hold him. I'm going to put my hand here and hold him. You know, and so always whack it. You never put a hand on a guy without trying to do some damage. Thanks a lot, guys. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was, that's a true professional right there. That's a guy that's a professional who works at what he's doing, works at being good at it. Okay, and he played a long time. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to take a short break for about 10 minutes. And then, listen to what I'm saying now, anybody move yet, okay? We're going to take a short break for about 10 minutes and be back here. Okay, when you hear me blow the whistle, and I want you to get your butt back in your seat. Now, I waited to just demonstrate this. The first 10 minutes of the next hour, I'm going to demonstrate this video coach for you college and some of you high school guys, you know, most of the college guys, how do you beat the 20-hour rule? I'm going to show you how you beat the 20-hour rule where you get more practice time with your players using this piece of equipment right here, okay? So we're going to be back here, and you hear me blow a whistle in about 10 minutes. Go.
It's a sprint. You gotta run.